off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv Gaming.
He has a very strong opening with those Hellions, so I would be surprised if he tries to move away from that, as Hellions are very effective against early Zerg.
Yeah, Titan's going to do his best to drone up at the start. Obviously, we've talked about a little bit. He can be weak if he does not make enough attacking units, if he does not scout. But a lot of the builds that he's been dying to are kind of crazily timed all in. So we'll see what Hanibal has in store here. As you mentioned, he's going to have to do some sort of harassment to try to slow down Titan. Titan's going to want to try to make as many Zergs as possible, or as many drones as possible, excuse me, as we see Titan spawning as the purple Zerg in the southern position, and Hanibal Prime spawning as the red Terran in the northern position.
Yeah, so Terran versus Zerg, Zerg versus Terran on Metalopolis, full cross spawn, so this is definitely going to help Titan out, as he's going to be able to just set up his hatchery down over here and perhaps drone up a little bit longer. The only thing that he has to be careful about, or that Titan really needs to do, is set up some early Zerglings at the Xel'Naga watchtowers so that he knows when, if and when those Hellions or when any units do in fact move out. And then respond correctly. What are you interested in?
I would be interested to see when Titan chooses to get his gas and when he chooses to get speed for the Lings. Obviously, speed definitely helps you against those Hellions and some sort of early harass. But if you can delay that gas, you can get up more and more drones, focus on your minerals, perhaps get on a third a little bit faster. So I think that's a choice a lot of Zergs are having to make in the early game here. So we'll see what Titan does in regards with the Zergling speed.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to be happening. He's going for Extractor Pool, so Titan not establishing that faster expansion that I originally thought he was going to be going for. Meanwhile, we can see that Hanibal is going for a refinery. He'll be going for refinery racks. And if actually we see Hanibal move out with a faster spawning pool, that would be a very, very interesting maneuver, as he would be able to perhaps run up that ramp and get in some early damage. But we do see a wall off starting.
Yeah, so Titan's going to get at that speed. He's going to have map control. He's going to have those towers in the early going. As you mentioned, he may be able to do a little bit of poking at that ramp. I imagine the Hanibal will have that walled off shortly, though. But Hanibal adding on one refinery for himself, so it's not going to be some sort of 2 racks build or 1 racks expand. So we'll see what sort of tech he does go for. I did not notice whether that was a fast refinery compared to that barracks, so I'm not sure whether he's going to have Hellions up. The barracks does finish, and he does not yet have enough gas for a factory, just going with a tech lab instead without producing a marine. So interesting decision there.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. If you take a look at Hanibal, Hanibal only now has 1 SCV on gas, so this was a rather strange build. That refinery was actually early. It was, I believe, an 11 refinery, but not harvesting at maximum capacity. That was the reason why he did not have enough. And now we can see an early Reaper being trained, but an early Reaper against Speedlings, that is going to be a very, very difficult time. As you can see, the metabolic boost has already been started.
Yeah, and Hanibal sees and scouts that there is no expansion, so his heart's probably sinking a little bit, as the Reaper, very good if you do not have speed, if you do not have a lot of Lings, and if you can attack multiple points at once. So the Reaper going to be coming out shortly here. We'll see what Hanibal's able to do with it. A second Reaper actually going to be following up, so we'll see if he goes for some sort of mass Reaper play.
Yeah, Mass Reapers do work out a little bit. Well, this is a Reaper expand, so you can see that Hanibal playing a little bit more straight up a Reaper expand here. You can see an overzealous SCV holding some gold minerals, trying to scout out what's going to be happening, as he sees that the Zerglings do not yet have metabolic boost. The Reapers, 1 Reaper and 1 SCV looking to engage. That 1 SCV has taken a little bit of damage and now looking to set up a bunker, and Titan does not have an Overlord in position. That's going to be a problem. Without an Overlord here, he does not see that bunker being placed down, and that bunker may actually get completed in time.
Speed finishing now, so he's going to try to get a surround on that Reaper. Reaper down to about half health. A number of Zerglings popping out as well, doing some nice hopping micro. Is Hanibal at this point, but that first Reaper will go down. No, it will not. And now Titan does see that bunker. He's going to try to focus it down. He needs to focus down the SCV first, as the bunker being canceled there. The SCV does go down, and both Reapers, one with full health, one with 7 health, going to be tucking their tail between their legs and returning home here. But that did give Hanibal the opportunity to get up a 3rd Reaper and to get up this command center. An orbital command, I imagine, will be coming shortly. And now we see a factory placed down on that tech lab. So I imagine now a 2nd command center being created. So a very fast expansion, very heavy macro coming from Hanibal here.
Yeah, so Hannibal completely switching gears, but an Overlord from Titan actually spotting this, and he's going to spot 3 command centers, and I don't know what he's thinking at this stage. I don't think that this is a straight-up play at all, getting 3 command centers inside a Terran base, a Marine finally making its way over, but with only 1 Marine, it will take some time to shoot down that Overlord as the Overlord slowly tries to float itself off. 3 Reapers looking for any scouting Zerglings is not going to find it, as we also see Titan responding correctly by setting up a hatchery over here on the high ground 3rd expansion location at around the 6-minute 30-second mark.
Yeah, you mentioned Titan might not know what to think seeing 3 command centers there, but I'll tell you exactly what he's thinking. He's going to think, sure, I'll play a macro game with you. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So Hannibal going to be sacrificing any sort of early harassment and really going to allow Titan to drone up here. So Titan got up that little bit of a late natural, working on speed and getting lings out first, but now he's going to be able to get up a very quick 3rd. And with those speedlings, he's going to be able to harass the natural and the 3rd if Hannibal does try to get into position with that 3rd orbital command. Hannibal at the moment does have a few Hellions out, and he's working on Blue Flame. So we'll see. He does have the towers as well with the Reaper. So Titan is not really taking the map control you'd like to see with all these lings, as he's just got roaches and drones coming out at the moment. So it might be going for some sort of pressure here with roaches and lings.
Yeah, Lings are now moving out. It looks like the Lings are, I guess, going to try to capture the towers. The Reapers do move fairly quickly and now quickly retreating. They do not have the movement speed upgrade, but still, with that foreknowledge of knowing that an army of Zerglings are coming their way, they can and will be able to push around. And now a Zergling just patrolling that high ground location. He wants to know when that 3rd base will be established. Taking a look at the army, 950 versus 850. We are pretty even in that front, but 41 drones versus 33 SCVs, with more drones still being traded. The 3rd base is finally up, so Titan will be able to mine with less diminishing returns than Hannibal at this stage, as his orbital command is also up and now just trying to saturate the 2 bases he is currently running on.
I was wrong there. It looks like Titan using those roaches to defend against the Blue Flame Hellions. He's got a nice spread on roaches here. He's got 1 in his 3rd, a few by his natural, so really wants to limit the damage. That is an investment going for all these Hellions for the Terran player. So if you're able to shut those down, especially when he invests in Blue Flame, that's a lot of time and resources, and those roaches do so well. We'll see whether he's able to get up the ramp. Titan doing a nice job keeping Zerglings at the top of the ramp. So if Hannibal tries to make it up the ramp, going to get a surround with those Zerglings and with the roaches here. Now we'll see if Hannibal tries to go home. He is on creep at the moment, and Titan does not have speed on those roaches. It is on its way, but he's going to try to fend them off.
Yeah, Marines are now pushing in as well. They're going to see a 4 or 5 roaches there, and the Marines do decide to back off. The Glio reconstitution about 30% done already, as the Zerglings may try to go for a surround. No, the Blue Flame has already completed, as an Overseer now making its way across the map. The Overseer dropping a Changeling. That's not going to last very long, as the Blue Flame Hellion quickly takes it down.
Now Titan's streaming across the field with these Zerglings. He wants to make sure that 3rd has not landed yet. He knows he's on 3 bases. He's got a huge economy, 67 drones to the 48 of Hannibal, so he wants to make sure that 3rd has not landed. Hannibal not really able to do anything at this point. He has no stim. He just finished Siege Tech. He's only got 1 Siege Tank, and he's got these Blue Flame Hellions, which are great against the Zerglings, but roaches are on the field. They're going to be denying those Hellions from doing any sort of damage. Titan in a very comfortable position. It looks like he's going to be going for an Infestation Pit.
So Infestation Pit, Tier 3. Meanwhile, we're seeing Hannibal going into what I originally thought was going to be mass mech play, but now getting a lot more barracks as well. So we're building up 3 more barracks. We should see a double tech labs and 1 more reactor in order to research Simpack, Combat Shield, and Concussive Shells, as I cannot imagine Marines and Hellions trying to take down these roaches.
Yeah, this is a very long time for these Marines not to have stim or combat shield or any sort of upgrades, and we see a lot of spine crawlers coming in from Titan at the moment, placing a number at his 3rd, and it looks like a few more throughout the main. Wants to make sure that drops are not going to be very effective. Does not have a very good spread with these Overlords, so you'd like to see a Terran player, as we see roaches pushing out, going to try to deny this 3rd, which has landed. It is an orbital command, so it can pick up if it sees these roaches coming, and I imagine that Hannibal will be doing so in just a moment.
Roaches are now pushing their way in. We'll be able to finish off a couple of those Marine siege tanks, and Thors need to siege. They do have siege tech, and finally sieging up, but the roaches somehow knew that there was going to be some crazy damage, deciding to back off, and now the roach is going to perhaps re-engage, get some more damage back onto the orbital command, and may lift off once again, and he's just playing a game of chicken with that orbital command, trying to make sure that it doesn't really land at all.
Yeah, so Titan basically taking a huge economic advantage here. 82 harvesters compared to the 57 of Hannibal, and denying this third for so long. A lot of energy banking up on that orbital command as well. And Hannibal just trying to push up here with tanks and fend off these roaches. They do have speed though, so they could close the distance quickly, and it looks like Titan going to be pulling back with those.
Yeah, Titan is in a bit of trouble right now just because he's getting really close to the food cap. And this is one of those situations where Zerg really needs to start producing their tier 2, tier 3 units. Their tier 1 units are very, very cheap, and they do get a lot of mileage. But once you get into the heavier mid game, you want to go into those Brood Lords and those other more expensive 2 food units. Otherwise, by taking a look at the food sizes, the army sizes are just incomprehensible. There's just not a big enough difference and not going to be able to get enough damage in.
Yeah, fourth base coming in here from Titan is not going to be the gold, though. He has WrestleVap map control. Those towers have been cleared off for the Hellions, and now looks like just a ton of roaches coming out for Titan. But as you mentioned, they are 2 food, so not a huge army when you do factor in the fact that the food cost is very high, but Titan is maxed out, 198 compared to the 150 of Hannibal.
Yeah, but if you take a look at the army size, we'll see what's going to be happening in just a moment. 4,300 versus 1950. The siege tanks are in position, but they are not going to be able to defend against the roaches, who are very, very far away right now, going after those SCVs. Hannibal being forced to pull back, and now he can pick and choose where he wants to fight. There's 4 infestors on the low ground as well, as the roaches are now going to perhaps just snipe down some units and then pull back whenever they can. Another command center may get taken down, and an SCV as well. So Titan just being very, very careful with these units here, as the roaches are now trying to push through once more, and we have an engagement here. Infestors now bringing up the rear. We may get some fungal growth off.
Oh, looks like he's going for a neural parasite instead, stealing one of those tanks. So the tank's going to be shelling the Marines here, and eventually turn on the tanks of their of Hannibal, as 2 tanks are taken now. One of those neural parasites quickly wears off, and focused down is that 1 tank there, and it looks like he needs to get a fungal growth as more and more Marines coming in here, and the army of Titan is going to be fended off here, but Hannibal once again having that third denied, and Titan very quickly going to be macroing up once again.
Yeah, you can see 43 roaches in production right now, but we also see the level 2 claw upgrade. So I'm curious as to why there's claw upgrades and such a heavy investment into roaches. The roaches are gonna be 0-1 upgraded, and when they could be 0-2, and now we see perhaps a counterattack by Hannibal. Hannibal moving out with 3 medevacs, 2 in the cargo. 1 roach is gonna spot it as well, as the Marines finish off that roach there.
And without Mutas, he's not going to be able to shut down those drops. His infestors don't have a lot of energy as well, so I'm not sure how he's going to deal with these. He needs to get some roaches in his main. Looks like he's doing just that, so he will be prepared, and Hannibal pulling back here, as he's going to need these units to fight off the roaches that are now knocking on his front door.
Yeah, so the roach is now putting pressure on these production buildings that are acting as a wall, but the problem right now is that there's siege tanks on the high ground, and a whole bunch of siege tanks. We can see about 11 of them just on the front door, and the Marines finally denying sight up onto the high ground, as Titan takes up another base at the 3 o'clock location.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Titan's doing with all these roaches. This is not a strategy we usually see in ZBT. It's going for a roach infestor play, and he's spending a lot of his gas. I thought maybe at first he was going to use these roaches and save up gas, and then tech switch over to Broodlords, as he has been working on the melee attack and the Carapace, which do well with Broodlords and Broodlings, but he has not been able to bank a lot of gas, instead banking 4,000 minerals.
Yeah, now Titan moving out in the midfield. The siege tanks do siege up, able to get some damage onto some of those roaches, and now the roaches are backing off. But with so many siege tanks, these roaches are not going to be doing very well at all. You need more Mutalisks, but there is also a Thor that is 1-0 upgraded, and a couple Marines as well, so you really need the range on those Broodlords, as we now finally see that drop may be coming in, and I don't think that Titan has the roaches inside his base to fend this off now.
And again, not very good Overlord spread as well, so I'm not sure whether he knows this drop is coming. He is not moving any units into his main base. He's got all these roaches just sitting out in the road here midfield. Finally sees that coming in, but we'll see how much damage Hannibal is able to do.
Yeah, we can see that the Marines are dropping in. That Evolution Chamber may get taken down. The Claw upgrade's about to be completed. It will complete in time, as the roaches are now making their way forward, as we are now teching the tier 2. The layer may get taken down, and that's going to be a problem. A Hive Tech, down it goes. And wow, the Marines able to take down the critical tech. No Greater Spire coming into play, no Ultralisk, and that's really what Titan needed, as he's banking on 6,000 minerals.
Yeah, Titan needs to get that gold immediately, perhaps even get out some of the bases, which would traditionally be Hannibal's if you were splitting the map up. Needs to spend these minerals, needs to start using some drones to create a lot of spine crawlers, really make it so the Terran cannot push out here, start taking more and more of the map, just wasting the 7,000 minerals he has banked at the moment.
Yeah, what we could see from Titan, though, is that Titan does have Ventral Sacs and Pneumatized Carapace, so that could be his saving grace. Ventral Sacs and Pneumatized Carapace trying to go for some sort of Doom drop into a base. And there are a lot of overlords as the Mutalisks are now going after the command center. The Mutalisks now need to back off as they were going to get cleaned up. And now you can see some of those Marines finally seeing the rest of that Roach army and now backing off. It is going to be difficult for Hannibal to take up a third base. That siege tank line that is defending his main base. And it does need to unsiege and then try to transport into a different location. But we can see a gold now being established by Titan over here. Or I saw a hatchery here. So we may see exactly that, what you mentioned earlier, where a hatchery is going to be placed down instead, and now it may be a doom drop, as I mentioned just moments ago.
Yeah, a lot of spine crawlers coming as well, and this is what you need to do. You need to dump those minerals into something. Spine crawlers, hatcheries, you really need to make it so you take advantage of the huge economic lead you have as Hannibal pushing out with all these siege tanks, and I think Titan's going to have to go home. The Marines are not in position, so if he gets these mutas in here, he could do some huge damage to the siege tank line.
Yeah, so here we go. Another neuroparasite siege tanks blasting apart each other once again. And Roach is just getting a lot of damage. The battlefield is so large, you can't really see anything at all, as the Marines are able to finish off many of those units. And now, wow.
Oh no, Titan just threw away his entire army. The mutas engaged the Marines, the Roaches engaged the tanks, the entire wrong thing that you want to have happen. The mutas need to be on the tanks. Those Roaches infestors need to be taking on the Marines, but instead Titan trying to remacro up with 116 Zerglings, 17 mutas. He's going to have to get some Banelings up here and try to pick off these tanks with mutas, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it.
I'm not sure if he can do it either. We can see that there is one Thor in that group as well, making it so that those Mutalisks cannot clump together. Siege tanks are now going to be sieging up, and now this expansion will quickly fall to the hands of these Crucio shock cannons. Marines are going to be able to stim in. The Marines are upgraded 2-2 as the siege tanks continue to push their way through the map. You can see a lot of Banelings and Zerglings are now going to be trying to funnel in, and is enough damage going to be dealt is the key question. Mutalisks are now pushing in. The Marines are up, caught on the high ground, as the Mutalisks may be able to finish off all these siege tanks, and that's going to be a nightmare for Hannibal, as Hannibal trying to come back over with all of those Marines. Is it going to be enough? A lot of those tanks have taken a lot of damage already, and now backing off. A bit of a better trade there by Titan, but Titan only has these Mutalisks, and he really needs to be careful with them.
Yeah, Titan has very little in the way of larva as well, so he's not going to be able to remacro up as well as Hannibal is, as Hannibal just shelling this base here for Titan. Titan had to cancel that gold, and now it looks like Titan going to try to salvage this by taking out the command center at the gold for Hannibal.
Yeah, Titan also going to lose his expansion at the 3 o'clock location, and what was a very, very strong macro advantage is quickly turning away, as you can see that the Mutos are looking to get some easy kills, perhaps going to get some Marines down, but in comes a Thor. The Thor is upgraded 2-2, and if it gets the damage on that tightly grouped a bunch of Mutalisks, that is going to be a very, very sad day there, as the Mutalisks are now finishing off another bunker here. The Thor now trying to make its way over, but will not be able to engage.
Titan needs to be smart and cost-effective here. He needs to pick good targets with his Mutalisks. He needs to take out these siege tanks anytime that Hannibal leaves them alone. And we've seen him do it a few times here. Those siege tanks very susceptible to those mutas. And then once you get those down, the Banelings and the Zerglings going to be able to finish off those Marines. But at this point, Titan facing an uphill battle, 140 to 200, a maxed out Hannibal.
Yeah, we are also seeing 2-2 upgraded Marines, almost 3-3 now against these Roaches. These Roaches are still only upgraded 0-2. So yeah, the claw upgrades, just scratching my head trying to figure out what he really wanted to do with those claw upgrades there, as the Roaches are now pushing in, gonna finish off the siege tanks here, and now the Roaches may be able to finish off the rest of these Marines, as both sides are gonna be engaging. The Mutalisks also engaging as well, but the Marines are stimmed and they're trying to chase away. Roaches are gonna be able to clean up some of those units in the back as well, but it looks like Hannibal is still macroing up a very large army inside his own base.
Yeah, Titan's economy really hurting at this point. He's all mined out in his main. He's only just got 43 drones. He had over 80 before, so a number of those did go down. And Hannibal going to try to establish some bases here in the western part of the map using Marines and Thors to take down the hatcheries of Titan. Titan trying to fend those off. He's got a good mix of units here, Roaches, along with Zerglings and Mutas, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to take on the army of Hannibal. It is 200 pushing out here with a ton of Marines.
Yeah, we definitely need to see a lot more Zerglings. He has the minerals to just Zergling dump, so that is the saving grace for him right now. The Zerglings are upgraded 2-2 and should be able to get in a lot of damage, but he needs Banelings to really counteract these Marines. There's so many Marines. Almost, yeah, more than 2 full control groups as the command center finally establishing the gold.
Yeah, he can Zergling dump, but he just does not have enough gas to get out the Muta numbers and the Baneling numbers he needs to push through here. And now Hannibal finally going to be able to establish this gold. Once a Terran takes this with tanks, very difficult to take back unless you do have Broodlords. And Hannibal going to be able to get up a 5th base on the western part of this map as well. So Titan in a lot of trouble. Finally researching burrows, something he probably should have had by this point in the game. 28-minute mark, coming out with Banelings and Zerglings. He's going to have one last bust in him here, trying to bust up this gold. He could turn it in his favor, but at this point, it's going to be a huge uphill battle.
Yeah, we can see Hanibal also trying to in another drop over here. The Marines doing that stutter step, trying to get away, but the Mutalisk should be able to at least finish off those medevacs. Yeah, those Marines are just going to get taken down very quickly. Oh, he did not need to use those Banelings, and he just could have used the Zerglings to finish it off. And I think he needs to be much smarter and much more economical with his units.
Yeah, Hannibal can really afford to trade here at a pretty decreased rate. He's mining 3,700 minerals per minute compared to the 1,000 of Titan. Again, Titan trying to establish those eastern bases again, but only 45 drones. And you wonder if Titan knows how to make drones in the late game, coming out with Roaches, and it looks like Hannibal stimming up here, going to try to focus down the drones at this gold. This is going to be huge if Titan loses this.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely a nightmare. You can see the hatchery already down to 600 hit points, but it looks like the Banelings, I do agree with that there. Perhaps 2 Banelings finishing off all of those units, but we are now going to get siege tanks up on the high ground, and that's going to shell and lose the gold there. Mutalisk also taking a bit of damage, but I think that was a Baneling bombing run into the mineral line.
Yeah, able to take down about 20 SCVs there, so nice job by Titan. He's going to have to come up with a lot of those moves to be able to take this game back. And I think at this point, Hannibal's going to have to slow push with siege tanks. Titan has a nice clump of units with their Roaches, the Zerglings, and Banelings, and a few Mutas as well. So he's not going to be easy to break, and Hannibal's going to have to slow push, drop in all sorts of places. We see a drop coming in on the eastern position as well. How much damage that's able to do? Probably quite a bit.
Yeah, we are going to have, 16 Marines once again on the move, and they're going to be able to find a couple of those Mutalisks. So that's a very, very hard hit there. Mutalisks at the wrong place at the wrong time. Zerglings now coming in the swarm around. The Mutalisks being very smart, taking down the medevacs as the Roaches are now trying to push in, and now those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives, but the Baneling's going to finish them off once more.
And as I talked about, Titan has that ball of death with the Banelings and Roaches. Very easy to take down small groups of units, but Hannibal used this opportunity, that drop, to move into position here. He's right in the natural here of Titan, going to be taking down all these units, but it looks like Titan giving the GG there, and wow, I feel like Titan just threw that game away. He had it. Maybe not 100%, but definitely had a huge advantage, and that one encounter just put him so far behind.
Yeah, that one encounter in the center of the field, I don't know exactly what happened there, but Titan losing to Hanibal, and now Prime 1 game away from winning Wednesday Night Starcraft, with Hanibal doing the all-kill, not a Marine King Prime as many suggested in the forums.
Yeah, Titan's going to have nightmares about that encounter. He's going to play it over and over in his head. He had a group of Infestors, a group of Roaches, and a group of Mutas, and he was playing against a player who's just tank Marine at that point. Hannibal did not do a good job keeping the